about contemporary issues facing us as a country. But in the process, we look for people we consider to have accumulated wisdom, depending on the subject we are discussing, and invite them to help us find relevant answers to questions that we are asking. We as a country at the moment are getting ourselves ready for both the presidential and the parliamentary elections. Per the laws of our land, the process of going through the election is the task of the Electoral Commission. However, the process is equally a civic duty of every Ghanaian. We are in together. And so while the EC is getting themselves together, it seems to me every Ghanaian also must get ourselves ready to be active participant in the process. And this afternoon in What Is Next, we have invited a man who at the moment is always all over trying to help people who have questions about the election to get at least the relevant information that they ought to have. I have with me this afternoon Dr. Serebour Quaicoe, Director for Electoral Services, with me. Dr. Serebour, you are welcome to What Is Next.
Thank you, Reverend.
I know it's not easy for you to make the time, but we are so grateful for you to make the time to be with us. But let me ask you, what does it mean to be the Director of Electoral Services in Ghana at the moment?
Reverend, thank you for the opportunity, and my regards to the viewers and the listeners. What I will say is that it's a very challenging position. You have a mandate to deliver, but people too have their own perceptions about what you do. But I see it as a way that you have the requisite information. People may not know, or they may intentionally twist it. So it is your responsibility to explain to the people what is being done. And as you are aware, Electoral Commission is the creation of the law. So whatever you are doing, once you are at the side of the law, and I would say that when you are doing everything, ask or listen to your conscience. Once your conscience clears you, God has cleared you. And it is not an easy job, but somebody must do the job.
It's not an easy job, but somebody must do the job. Now, the Electoral Commission's decision to compile a new voters register sparked some initial agitations, and we witnessed demonstrations. We witnessed, all kinds of
legal battles.
Okay, but we don't hear that at the moment. How do we explain the silence? Does it mean that now people are satisfied? Is it a sign of satisfaction? Or is it a sign that people are giving up on the Electoral Commission?
I would say that God has his purpose for everything. And once the Electoral Commission decided that they want to compile new voters register, they knew what they were holding with respect to the old register. And going into 2020 election, we read that we cannot go into this election with, in quote, default register and default systems, because clearly our data center was not responding to the exigencies of the day. The data itself has a lot of challenges. We even started losing some data, but people always compare it to this level election with general elections. I remember at the morning of the 2019 this level election, there's a top media person who went to the polling station. The name was not on the register. There were a lot of initial complaints, but people might have forgotten that people when their names were not there. But because it was this level election, didn't make story. You can imagine if it had been general elections, that a top person had gone there and the name was in the register. So we realized that we couldn't trust the register that we were holding. So the best thing was to compile a new register. And normally, people talk of credible register without knowing what credible register is. When we say register is credible, it means that register should be accurate. Being accurate means that it should contain the relevant information. Then it should be current. Being current means that by law, 60 days to election, we should capture anybody who qualifies to be captured. So it means that being current means that anybody who qualifies as at that time should be in the register. There is also one of the other conditions is that it should be inclusive. Inclusive means that anybody who qualifies to be registered should be there. It should also be exclusive. Anybody who does not qualify to be there should also not be there. So, if you compare the current register with the 2019 one, which of them do you consider to be accurate? Which of them do you consider to be current? Which of them do you consider to be inclusive? And which of them do you consider to be exclusive? So anybody who wants to do genuine and fair assessment will realize that this one will be better than the old one. So I believe that is why now people have accepted this. And like you're saying, initially people were objecting to, and when COVID came, it became worse. But God has his own purpose for doing anything. You read that the fear that the compilation was spike the spread of COVID rather didn't happen, but it rather brought it down. So at one of the studios I said that if nothing at all, the compilation has brought down COVID.
So how would you say that the tension, even though that's what you are trying to say, that the tension and they've closed the borders and the COVID, you are saying that did not have much negative impact on the current registrar? Is that what you are trying to say?
Yes, because if you look at the number that registered, and if you look at the way Ghanaians were eager to go to the center to register, initially read that there were a lot of social distancing breaches because people were actually ready to register. So, the way people protested against it and the rest, the suspicion or the expectation was that maybe will not get the required patronage. They read that the patronage was super. So people had confidence in the system, and commission has been there for long, and people automatically, we don't expect to get 100% support. The majority of people knew that we were not lying and we were ready to deliver for Mother Ghana.
Yeah, still on the register. Now, credible elections have a lot to do with the quality of the voters' register. Now, per the requirements of the CI, and I've seen you with CI, and I want you to help me and my viewers governing the December 2020 general elections. Now, do we have a voter register that you, per the CI, say that we want to say and admit that it has the integrity and the quality that we can close our eyes, settle all matters of doubt when it comes to rigging?
You see, first I will start from the last statement, rigging. People talk of rigging without actually appreciating what rigging is. When we technically talk of rigging, it means that you have put down or planned, calculated program such a way that the loser of the election will become the winner, and the winner will become the loser. That's what we talk of rigging. So when you say election has been rigged, it means that but for the systems that were put in place by the Electoral Commission, the winner will have been a loser. And if you look at the integrity in our system, I am convinced beyond every reasonable doubt that any of the candidates can become the chairman of the Electoral Commission, but the results will be what it will be. So for the register, like I said, it was compiled with the involvement of all stakeholders, political parties, whoever. And I'm here to hear that somebody who said he wanted to register, but because of where he comes from or whatever, he was denied. It was transparent. Whoever wanted to be there was allowed to be in. That even we went beyond the normal day that we fixed. Later we opened for another 2 days. So I don't think the credibility of the register is in doubt. And the foundation of a good election is a credible register.
Dr. Serebour, I just want you to look straight to this camera and just let Ghanaians know that we are just a month away, but the voter register that we are going to work with has all the integrity and the quality per the CI that you are working with. And so know whether we should have doubt or not. Help my viewers, what you have just mentioned to me.
I would say that the CI that governs registration is CI 91. And the CI 126 just amended the portion that talks about the requirement for registration, proof of eligibility. So CI 91, that which was passed in 1996, is still what we are using, with a small portion of the proof of eligibility, which brought about the CI 126. Again, if you look at the way the process started and ended, like I said, it had a lot of inbuilt techniques that were put in place. With the current one, we have even added the facial recognition. So if your fingerprints fail you, the facial recognition will come in to biometrically identify you. Again, if you look at the figures that we had in all the regions, you know that the regions that are developing in terms of expanding are getting more voters as compared to the regions that are shrinking. This is what I mean is that if you take Accra, for example, if you take the youth age, people are moving towards Accra. So you read that previously Ashanti region used to be high, far above Greater Accra, but now Greater Accra has overtaken the Ashanti region. But if you look at the actual population, the Ashanti region is higher than Greater Accra. So it's a reflection of the movement of the adults. So that tells you clearly that. And if you take Kaswa, for example, Kaswa is now one of the top 4. And anybody who knows Kaswa now knows Kaswa is an expanding place. So any place that is expanding, the data reflects. And in any place that is shrinking, means that the adults are migrating. They are getting the reduction in their relative voters. So that alone should tell you that it's a true reflection of the situation on the ground. But the most important thing is that CI91 comes out with who qualifies to register. If you look at Article 42 of the Constitution, it says that any Ghanaian 18 years and above of Sandman has the right to vote and has the right to be registered. So anybody within that confines of the law was given opportunity to register. And again, that's why we have the challenge process. That if the person is not a Ghanaian, is of not someone is not 18, not a resident of the locality, the challenge process also comes in. So inclusion, you are allowed to come in. Exclusion, if you are not qualified, somebody has the right to challenge you. And the adjudication process is that if somebody says you are not qualified, it's not a matter of me saying you are not qualified. The process is that when somebody is challenged, let's use the station review committee, which is made up of the political parties themselves. Every political party which is active has a member in it. Then the Ghana this Director of Education, this police commander, one traditional ruler, and the Electoral Commission. These are the committee members, and the law says that as they sit, they have the same powers as the district court. So it's not like a Serebour not liking you and saying you are not a Ghanaian or whatever. So you go through all these processes. It's left to you to tell your story for them to. So all these processes have been done, and I believe the process that we have put in place based on the law, I don't think anybody can say that this racer is not credible.
Okay. And so at least you want to give the assurance that when we hear that somebody will use this voter register to rig election from Dr. Serebour, it's not something that we should worry so much about.
That's why I said that any of the candidates can be the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. The results will be the decision of the Ghanaians. There's no way. Our system has the inbuilt integrity, stakeholder engagement, and we compare the data with Ghanaians. And you see, our system is, and one thing that the politicians should also understand is that you can sit in Accra and tell your story, but the people who are part of the system on the ground know that maybe what you're saying, you're either doing politics or you don't understand the process. Because anybody who was part of, and you see, you also went around. You go to a place, if you don't ask, you wouldn't know this one is for party A, or Party B, Party C. They move together. That Saturday, I and Dr. Basman, we visited 6 of the 7 printing houses. And if you go there and you don't ask the person, you wouldn't know that it's this party or that party. They themselves know that nothing untoward was happening. They move together. They know they are brothers and sisters. But when somebody sit there and he talks as if the people have been just brought in to do something mischievous and the rest. And as I said, we have conscience, and we know that we have been called to serve Mother Ghana. A posterity will judge all of us. So I don't think anybody who loves Ghana would think of doing anything that will destroy Ghana's peace and the rest. So I can assure you, without any shadow of doubt, that I would say the 2020 will be the best, not among the best, will be the best election.
Very assuring. But Dr. Serebour, we keep hearing about IPAC. Now, is there a unique role, in the process towards a credible election for the IPAC? Or let me say that, what is the IPAC's unique role in the process, yes, towards some of the things you have just mentioned to me?
As the name, that is an acronym IPAC, but the full meaning is Inter-Party Advisory Committee. We have it at the regional level, so we call that one RADPAC, Regional Inter-Party Advisory Committee. Then we have the DRAPAC, this Inter-Party Advisory Committee. So people are more used to the national one, but it's a cascading type. It goes to the region, it goes to the district. And as the name implies, Inter-Party Advisory Committee. Even though it's inter-party, we have roped in the civil society organization. They are there as observers. We have the development partners, they are there as observers. So whenever IPAC is meeting, it's not our political parties are talking to the Electoral Commission. The other people who are there to observe. And when they are observing something that should be universal. You don't take decision today and change it the other day. Now, the IPAC is there, there's no legal basis, but it is there to help us take decisions. So when they give the advice that do ABC. We listen to them, then we apply the law. Because at the end of the day, you can't say that you did ABC against the law. You will not be forgiven by that. So you give the advice, but we also have to consult the law. Whatever you are saying, does the law allow it? If the law does not allow it, we cannot implement it. Again, if you look at a lot of the renovations or the reformations that have taken place in the electoral system, most of them came from the IPAC meetings. So we listen to them, they come up with the suggestions. If they are useful, they apply. This going biometric, going from opaque to transparent. Before 2004, there were no pictures in the registers. So the same this IPAC process that we introduced. Even in 1995, when we compared the first picture registers, we were using thumbprint ID cards plus photo ID card for the urban areas. Then the same interaction we came with photo ID for everybody. People realized that was not enough. We should even put the pictures of the voters in the register. So we have gone with accommodating the piece of advice from the IPAC. But it does not mean that all the pieces of advice were taken. Because once you give the advice, you should also have a look at what the law says. If you are giving a piece of advice that is not implementable because of the law, when somebody takes you to court, you cannot go and say that it was advice who told me. So whatever they say, I don't know if the Electoral Commission will be held responsible for the elections. So we ourselves should also know that, yes, you are giving advice, but is it implementable? Is it in conformity with the law that we implement? So they are useful establishment, but we cannot say that we always take anything that comes from them. And at times to realize that people will take entrenched positions. And that's where we have the challenge. Because when they take entrenched position, mean that one of them will be in line with what we are saying, then we are in bed with that party. You're getting me? Because assuming the two factions, once they go red, once they go yellow, we decided maybe to go yellow. But once one of them support the yellow, then we are in bed with that person. So I would say that rather it should be the other way around. That the parties should be in bed with us, not let us be in bed with them. Because we take the decisions and they either support it or they are against it. So it cannot turn around that we are in bed with anybody. Rather, it should turn out that the parties are in bed with us.
Dr. Serebour, one of the worrying situations is when we hear political parties going public media saying that the Electoral Commission is doing things that the parties are not aware. Now you are telling me IPAC Party Advisory Committee. If it is true that all the political parties attend the IPAC meeting, how come that sometimes we get the impression that the EC is doing things behind the various political parties or some of the political parties?
You see, whatever we are doing that involves elections, we should always differentiate administrative procedures from technical procedure and other things. For instance, recently they were saying that Electoral Commission was doing transfers. If Electoral Commission has the staff they are working with, and they decide to reshuffle the staff, should we also bring in the Party Advisory Committee? In that case, then the independence of the Commission will be defeated, right? Because if you look at Article 46, it's clear that in doing our work, we should not be kowtowing to the influence of anybody with the exception of the law. So when we are taking decisions, and this one will affect the elections in terms of technical aspect, we come to the public, we inform the public, at times even press releases, and then we inform the political parties, we discuss with them, we will tell them why we are doing what we want to do. They will share ideas with us. Then we are, some of them at times, maybe they will bring something that we have not even thought of that. If it is good, we adopt them. But does not mean that because party A says we can't do what we are doing, we should stop. In that case, we won't take any decision. So it doesn't happen that we are taking decisions about the elections and say we will not involve parties, or we inform one party and leave the other. Because at APAC meetings, all parties are involved. And at least I know that of all the APAC meetings I've attended, at least MPP and DC were there. It may happen some of them might know, smaller ones will not be there. So once the APAC meeting, there's no way anybody will say that they were not informed. If we take the compilation of voters register, I was a regional director. I came to head office in 2018, and I heard of it from one of the APAC meetings before even I came to Accra. But at a point in time, they said that they have not been informed. So some of these things, some of them may be just political games.
But what is your own assessment of people that the political party sent, especially to polling stations, to observe either registration of voters, exhibition, or the voting, say December? The quality. What's your own assessment of the kind of people who the parties send to your programs and activities?
I would say that from 1996, that was my first election.
And that the people, I mean, the
agent.
background, the agent, the academic background, knowledge in the law, understanding of the electoral system.
That was from 1996. When we joined in the commission in 95 and the first exercise in 96, you read that the caliber was so bad that some of them, they would just show their face there, would go out to their farm, they would come drunk, and they would just come and sit there. Some of them will just put the head there, you finish and you wake the person up. But with time, when people realize that they have very important role to play, it has been changing. Now the printing that we are doing now, it wanted to know that some are lecturers, some are lawyers. So now the quality has improved, but we still need, because if you go some areas to, I don't know whether they don't have the right people there. When it comes to general elections, now you are talking of using more than 38,000 polling stations, and a political party will present parliamentary double. So we are talking of them sending not less than 76,000. So in that case, you realize that at certain places they are not able to attract the right caliber of people, but comparatively we are now improving. The other side too is that some of them may be quality, but they don't pay attention to details. Like the printing that I'm talking of again. You go to some places because we do deep into the 900, but you go and some of them are fast asleep. They wake up and they'll be asking questions. You are something that you should come and watch. You go there and you sleep over. Then you wake up, how come that you have done this, you have done that? Do we have to wake you up before we do our work? So these are some of the challenges that the parties themselves also have to look at the agents they send to the places.
Please, lay emphasis on this point. This is something that ordinary Ghanaian may not know. In fact, even sometimes the polling stations, the people they sent there, even understanding the ability, consensus building, and then people want to fight. They want to just say that something is not right. Just talk to the political parties, especially the people, their agents, and what you have just mentioned.
See, the challenge with the political parties is mistrust. They will rather we have asked them to bring the agent. They have started bringing them. Unfortunately, we have support from development partners. They will give us resources to train them.
To train the political parties agents.
You will train them. Then they will go and detrain them or mistrain them. Or once you have that they have had contact with the opponent, they will change them completely.
That they have come to your program.
So they
had MDC, MPP, people had lunch together.
Exactly. Then they say that because they have been contaminated in code, because the other side had seen them, so they will change them completely from the people you trained. And so the right to sign the agent is the right of the candidate. So you train the person brings another different person. You can't stop the person. So that is the challenge. At times they even bring us the agents, they are holding them at their chest. They don't want the other side to see. So major issues is mistrust. And I also say that they don't trust themselves, so they don't trust anybody. That is a major challenge. And because you may be a professor, and I also say that a lesson is learned on the job. There's no institution anywhere that I know that award degrees in elections. None of us came in, and as you do it over and over, you get used to some of the technicalities and intricacies of it. But the people will not allow you to train them, because if you train them, it's not that they suspend the electoral commissioner, but maybe we will leak the names, whatever. So but the issue is that if you want the person to do a good job for you, you should send somebody who appreciates how election is conducted, who understands the voting process, who knows how to write and read, and who will pay attention to details. Because the fact remains that after the election has been done, whatever, there should be recording of the figures. The person should appreciate the figures you are putting there before he signs. It used to happen. I don't know whether it's still happening. That some of them, immediately they go, will give it to me for me to sign. They will sign the results before even the voting starts.
Oh,
yes,
they do that.
Oh, they do. No, the person is not interested in the election that you are doing. But once he has been there, he will give you some allowance. And the signature should show that he was there. So he signs, he goes somewhere. Then when we finish, he was an agent there. So he comes and he gives the person. They are not into. Some of them will take the result that you have given them. But once they sign, you give them copies. You will surprise to know that after we have finished the election, the parties will be chasing it for the results. So ask yourself, the agents they brought to come and observe the election, the agent that signed the results and that was supposed to take copy of the results, where are they? I'm challenging them. Ask any of them who can submit even 25% of 2016 results. Ask them. But they were giving original copies. So these are the challenges. So they themselves too should put their houses in order. Like Dr. Fajan always say, the election is won at the polling station. So we should keep in place the right procedures, the right people on the ground, so that you don't need even to come to the Electoral Commission. If you have your structure in place, when our people are bringing their results to us, you should also be taking your results at a collation center. And once you collect yours, you don't need to come to our place. So once you have collected yours, when you are coming to compare with your figures with what we have, and condition that you have the signed actual results. So if you do that, you will never blame anybody of having rigged an election, because you were there with us. You were part of the counting. You took your result from the polling station, and you have done your own collation. So if you have done your own collation and Electoral Commission even rigs, you can challenge the Electoral Commission with the figures, because we have 90 polling station constituency. These are the results that you gave me. I have added 1 to 90, and these are my figures. Your figures are wrong. Electoral Commission, if it is true, the Electoral Commission will be exposed. But they don't do their work, but rather they turn around and accuse the Electoral Commission. So if you give out good agents, put in place the right mechanism, and they do their own collation, they don't need the Electoral Commission to declare the results, because they can sit. And I remember 2000 elections. I was then in charge of Aguna East and Aguna West. So then the Aguna East MPP candidate was my mate in Serebour Quaicoe. So when we compared, I was then in Serebour. Aguna East capital is in Sabah. So if we came to us that Ejabin has won, then about 2 hours time, he came. I got the right figures. Then Ejabin has lost. So the next morning, Ejabin came to me that it is good to do a good job. His friends, people came to him with powder and the rest that he has won, but he had done his calculation and read that there were 3 police stations that changed the results. So when the people were debating, he knew he has lost by 32 votes. So that is clear. Ejabin doesn't need us to declare him a loser because he has done it himself and he knows it. So that's my challenge to the political parties. They should put in place the right agents, find a way of retrieving the results, and find a way of doing their own collation at the constituency levels. Once they do that, they will see whether somebody is rigging election or not.
Viewers, this is what is next. And I'm in conversation with Dr. Serebour, the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. And we are discussing preparation towards the December general elections. And he has said some important thing. One, he is saying that the current voter register we have per the CI that is governing the process, we have a credible voter register that Ghanaians can trust. The quality and the integrity of the voter register, he is saying that we have it. So Ghanaians must be at peace. 2, he has said that the various political parties must go the extra mile to get the right people to be their agent at the polling station, because he is admitting on this program that some of the people they send in terms of education, in terms of knowledge about election and commitment, some of them are lacking. And so he is saying that and he said he's throwing the challenge to the political parties that we go extra mile in picking the agents at the various polling centers. But Dr. Serebour, misinformation and disinformation during election can be very fatal. And what kind of preparation? You said earlier on that even the political parties, you spend time calling them, bring your people, let us train them for you. What about the media? They are also very key partners in the process. But what kind of training do they receive, especially from the Electoral Commission?
Thank you very much. I will say that we also have a program for the media. They come to our training and we also train them. We take them through the various processes, and some of the media houses too, they organize themselves for us to train them. I can say that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I wouldn't mention the media house, but they organized themselves and myself and the data for training. We went there and trained them, and they themselves admitted that they have learned a lot of things. So we create a platform to train them, and some of them too, they also create their own platform. We go there to train. Then if you look at what we have with the let the citizen know platform that we have set, we also take them through the process, because as we educate the citizenship, they are the people who are carrying the messages to them. So we also educate them through that. So we always have 3-fold: the releases that we give to the media, to the public. We organize platforms or workshops for them. Then they themselves also organize their workshop, and we go there to train them free of charge.
Free of charge.
Free of charge, yes.
But going to December elections, are there some pitfalls that the various media houses must avoid? Are there known pitfalls?
My fear most for 2020 election is fake news. Because what is happening is that somebody puts something on the WhatsApp platform and it's like fire. Then some of the media houses will not take the pain to find out whether what is there is the truth or not. And if we have challenges for 2020, that's my most fear. Fake news. Because I can tell you that you don't be surprised that Quaicoe has been caught with a lot of ballot papers here. And it will be like fire. All the media has to be carrying, most of them will carry, without finding out whether that is true. And going into this election, there will be people who are going to be mischievous. They will intention can. And it's like when we did the referendum also. Look at the video that came about that somebody was thumping. See, if anybody who appreciates election will tell you, no, this is not possible. But they were bringing them out that somebody was thumping. And you know, there are a lot of backgrounds to election. That if you are thumping, there should be signs of the jacket, the screens and whatever. So it's not, when you are doing any diabolical things, and somebody said that if you are being mischievous, your mind becomes too small. So they will do it, forgetting that there are other issues that they forgot to add. So my major fear for 2020 is fake news.
But if you are afraid and are concerned about fake news, then there must also be a source for authentic news. Do you have selected media houses that you can go to bed that for, say, GBC or GTV, they will always have the authentic news because we have given to them? Or on your website, you know, where do people go for the authentic news? Because for media, they sell news. So if they are looking for the news and they don't get it, then whatever is available, including social media, they will work with it till, in fact, it's one of the media strategy that if I need information from you and you are not giving it to me, I create it. Then I force you to come and unravel whatever you call mischief. So what are the authentic sources that the Electoral Commission will also provide so that those who want to have the truth at least will know where to go?
Reverend, if you have followed the media landscape from the past, you know that the current Electoral Commission is more forthcoming with information than ever. Because if they take the one I mentioned of the Let the Citizen Know, it was bi-weekly. Now, if you look at some of our colleagues, like myself and the rest, we are always in the media, give you information, some live and some recorded and the rest. So we are forthright or forthcoming.
And this one, I will want to commend the Electoral Commission. This Let the Citizen Know seems to be one of the remarkable achievement so far, you know, of the Electoral Commission, that from time to time, or when issues come out, you quickly come out and at least give the other side. And I want to believe that moving forward we are going to see more, because as for the fake news, I don't think we can stop people from going to various social medias, whether Dr. Serebour will carry ballot boxes to his bedroom or not. People are free to do whatever they want to do, but those who have the authentic source must provide them, and I think they must provide them on time. I think that is where the issue is, giving information, right information at the right time. Dr. Serebour,
I agree with you. But if I'm also a media house, I also be interested in the integrity of my source, because it will also be embarrassing that you go and publish news, headlines, whatever, and you turn out that you did not do right checking. There's nothing wrong with you getting the information and seeking clarification with the commission or wherever the information is coming from. It is better to delay and get the right information than to rush, give information and turn out that the source is bad. It also affects the credibility of your media house. So we should not be too in a hurry to go on air because we have got information. at the end of the day, we're supposed to consider when it turns out to be false, what have we done to the image of media house? Assuming a media house becomes known that they always give wrong information, is it also going to affect your integrity? So, assuming maybe when you were looking for information we didn't give you, it does not justify you carrying out information when you have not checked the integrity of the source. So we will do our best. We'll give out the information through the press releases. In a week, we do at times about 5 press releases. Then, in addition to that, we do let the citizen know. Then we do the media engagement. So I don't think the Electoral Commission has ever been open as we are of late. So we may not be perfect, but I think we are far better off in terms of our media engagement than we used to be.
So what would be your advice to ordinary Ghanaians that when they hear Dr. Serebour has packed 50 ballot boxes in his bedroom and somebody is saying, Choboy, let us go out there to fight Dr. Serebour, and you are saying they shouldn't fight?
The issue that I will put across is that if you take the ballot papers,
and it's all over in social media.
Yes, if you take the ballot papers, when we finish the printing, as I said, sitting here, we are using 7 printing houses. The party agents are there. At least the 2 major parties are there. 2 people per media house at a time.
2 major, me, MPP and NDC.
Exactly. 2 agents at a time. Now, when we finish the printing, they take the serial numbers of all the ballot papers that have been printed. Then we have bags that we put them in. They will take in this bag, it starts from 1 to 3. In this bag, 4 to this. They record all these things.
You say who record? MPP, NDC.
The agent, I was the MPP, all the agents.
Especially because that's where the trouble is coming from.
MPP agent.
They are telling you have printed extra 150,000. They don't have any idea. I hope you have heard that.
I've heard it. I will react to that. MPP, NDC, and other parties. They do.
Okay, Donko has not complained.
Okay. No, I'm just saying that all of them have the right to do that. Now, after we have put them in the bags. It has some form of the lock for zips. We put our series on. At least MPP and NDC also put their seal on the bags. When we put them in our trucks, we use padlock to lock them. After we have put our padlock there, MPP and NDC also put their padlocks there. The vehicle that is conveying the material. Then we send them to the regional police armories. When it gets there, when the car is going, if you go to Borga, it goes with the police escort. The political parties also escort the trucks. So when they send it to the regional armory, our regional dispatch team will hand over the documents and the vehicle to the regional office of the Electoral Commission. The political parties will also, the escort from the national, will also hand over the documents to the regional executives. When it is time for us to send them to the districts, our officers will come with police. The political parties will be there. So as with the region transfers the documents to them, the regions transfer the documents to the districts, the parties also transfer the documents. When we open them, they check one by one, booklet by booklet, everything, before they are sent to the district. When they go to the material go to the district, they are kept at the police armory. And we do that some of the party agents, MPP and NDC sleep at the police station with the police. Then when it's time for them to do the parceling for the various police stations, they take them off GBC
Studio 1.
Studio 1. 900 voters.
Studio 2.
Studio 2. and 900, the booklets are in 100 forms, 50 forms, 25s and 10s. We would put them there with their serial numbers and their baggage. So when the party is going home, the party knows that for Studio 1, the ballot papers are ranging from 101 to, let's say, 1,000. On the day of election, on the settlement of the poll, you indicate the number of ballot papers assigned to that place. You say 1,000. Then you also on the sheet, you also indicate the serial number. When we finish the election and we declare the results too, we still give them copies of the statement of the poll. So before you started, you have the serial numbers. When you finish the counting, you have the serial numbers. But still, election has been rigged. what else can you do? But the most important thing that do what is right. They themselves will know that they will say it. And let me tell you that my own view is that when they go to an election and they lose and they accept that they have lost, coming back is a problem within their own party circles. So, because I went there as a parliamentary candidate, I lost. I have to find something to say that, but for the Electoral Commission, I wouldn't have lost. So next time when I come, I said, oh, this time I will open my eyes on the Electoral Commission. So the Electoral Commission becomes the victim. But they themselves know that the election was free and fair. And that is why, Reverend, I'm sorry to say that, to use as an example, you are attending our APAC meetings. Look at the way they cordially relate to themselves. But when they go on air, it's a different ballgame. So you ask yourself, are they not these very people who were sitting by, chatting and the rest? They would be teasing themselves. Hey, I remember the last I met the parties, about this issue that you brought in that some ballot papers have been printed.
Yeah, why are you printing extra ballot papers and you don't inform the parties?
I'll answer that question, but when they came and they were explaining to them, I remember MPP people telling Utukono and Reza, go and do press conference. so they themselves, they tease themselves. It's nice working with them, but when they go on air, it's different ballgame. Now, with respect to the 150,000 that you were talking about, I don't think they're saying it again. This is how printing is done. When you have the total number of registered voters, you make provision for 5%. Now, we always go up, we don't come down. Assuming in a particular polling station, total number of registered voters is, let's say, 89. Now, 89, if you compute the 5%, it should be around 4. So if you add 4 to 89, that will give you 93. And I said the booklets are hundreds, 50s, 25s, and 10s. So 93, there's no way you can give them 90. You have to give them 100. So you have gone beyond the 5%, right? But the serial numbers are captured. So when if you want to calculate the 5% to the letter, you will be making mistakes. In addition to that, when we made the parties with the printers after this 150,000 so-called over printing, what they told them was that they print the ballot papers first without the serial numbers. So after that, let's say if they are supposed to print 1,000, they will print about 1,002 at their own cost, because we have given them contract for 1,000. Because in the course of numbering, in the course of packaging, in the course of bagging the rest, you realize that there may be some errors. Then you have something to fall on. So they print them before they apply the serial numbers. So if you have the 1 to 1,000, then the course of numbering, you realize that maybe the 90 to 95, there was a mistake. You only renumber those that have not been numbered and set them in. So when they have gotten everything in the package, the Electoral Commission has accepted them. Because at times they may even say that this is 1,000. But when we are doing auditing, whether they did not count them well, there have been instances that even at the polling station, we will say that this one is a 100 booklet. We will say that this is a 100 booklet. But when they check, it will be 99 or 101. This,
viewers, I will need Dr. Serebour again next week, God willing, same time. So what I want us to do is to pause the program here and plead with him that next week he finds time. He's a very busy person, but to join us to continue the conversation on the preparation towards December general elections. I will ask you this same question next week, God willing. Till then, may God bless our homeland Ghana and make this dear nation of ours great and strong. We will start from there.
You know what?